potentially earlier this afternoon, we could have a landfall. All right, we could have a landfall. We're looking, again, at some of the concerns here along the Florida coast. The storm combining with the high tide to send water into neighborhoods near St. Pete. Nowhere near the center of this. The center's not going to come anywhere near it, but this is the water. This is the push of water coming in with a broad circulation around this thing. And, of course, now that the center point of the hurricane is north and west of Tampa, you're just going to continue to see this today, all right? There were reports of flooding, by the way, near Gulf Boulevard, all the way from the shoreline. So that's quite a ways inland there. Let's talk about Panama City impacts today. Today is game day for Panama City. Today is game day for Mexico Beach. Today is game day for Cape San Blas and Apalachicola. All these areas are going to get creamed, all right? There's just no other way around it. We don't see this thing just falling off the face of the earth. It's going to be a 4, or if it weakens a little bit, maybe back down to a 3. But I think we're looking at our first 4 landfall, Category 4 landfall, in the history of the Florida Panhandle. Records go back to 1851, all right? So here you go, Wednesday p.m. We're looking at 100-plus mile-an-hour winds. And again, what we define as p.m. is anything after noon. All right, that's p.m. 12:01 p.m., we could see 100-mile-per-hour gusts. 8 to 12 inches of rain, storm surge up to 9 feet. They had an emergency alert last night asking zones A, B, and C to evacuate with an exclamation point because of the storm surge potential here. This thing is heading right toward Panama City. All right, let's talk a little bit about that. There's a lot of high-rises here in Panama City. And there's been a lot of studies about what happens with the wind when you go from the surface, let's say, up to 10 stories. All right, so 100 feet. And there's a lot of changes in that wind. It goes up pretty rapidly. There could be as much as a 45% change just on the 4th floor, going up 4 floors. There's the friction of the land that slows the wind near the surface. But once you get away from that friction, once you get up 40 feet, 50 feet, 60 feet, you get increase in wind. And you know it. You can hear the winds howling up there. And buildings are met, they're engineering, structured engineering-wise, to sway in the wind, Stephanie. And I'd much rather obviously ride one out of the ground than I would up loft. But on the ground, some of these are going to be in storm surge, right?
That's the problem. That is the problem, right? And that surge is going to do, it's not even necessarily the surge, it's the waves on the surge that is also going to just eat away at not only the beach, but the homes as well. Let's speak about the surge, okay? And we're going to see it significant in Apalachicola. That's where our winds are already gusting to 39 miles per hour. They are going to be picking up here as we head through the day. It's only going to get worse, way worse, by the way, before it gets better. But in Apalachicola, the water is also already coming up. This is an area that is prone to flooding, 9 to 13 feet of water when all is said and done. Let's talk about the winds and the pressure with this thing, pressure dropping. And as that pressure drops, the wind's going to go up. And you can see that over time. Our pressure going down right now, 943 millibars. 943. Remember yesterday morning, we were at what, like 970, 968 during the show yesterday morning. We're down to 943. This is intensifying. The wind's going up to 140. At landfall right now, 145 for a Cat 5. It's got to be greater than 155. So the very latest with this system, there's nothing really to stop it from intensifying. It's in warm water. I looked up the water temperatures here. Our water temperature is offshore, 83 degrees Fahrenheit. So that is nice and toasty, and it ranges, of course, a little bit higher than that, a little bit lower than that. Moving north at 13 miles an hour, and it's going to make that right-hand turn. When it does that, significant power outages, not only where it makes landfall, but inland. This is not just a coastal system, this is an inland system as well, spreading from Florida to Georgia, all the way really into the Carolinas. We could have this as a tropical storm. That's going to take down some power lines. So, hurricane winds, what they're going to do, you obviously, it's too late now, all right? If you need to get out, they actually just put out an email for Bay counties. You got to get to shelter like within the next hour. Hopefully the plywood is up. You do not want to tape the windows. This is all stuff that you should have been doing over the last couple of days here. Get out of your mobile homes, and if you're not in a sturdy structure, the winds are going to come in. They're going to go downhill very quickly. Again, if you are in the eye wall, that's where you have the worst of the winds. That's where the strongest winds will be located. The eye is that center of circulation. It's clear, and then outside of that, the winds will go down, but still are going to be plenty strong in order to cause lots of power outages here. So we'll continue to watch the system as it moves inland here. And Jim, I think I'm going to toss it back to you to talk more about the rain threat, which honestly is not my biggest issue and fear with this system.
And one of the reasons is because of the wind threat, Steph, that you mentioned, that's going to accelerate up through areas like Valdosta and Tallahassee, the storm's going to accelerate. Unlike Florence, that slowed down, this one's actually going to accelerate. So a complete 180 in through here. The other good news in terms of the rainfall threat, even though we got flash flood watches out in some of these areas, because let's face it, 2 inches an hour, 3 inches an hour in spots in one of these bands is going to flood anything, even the beach. All right? But here's the deal. What you're going to see with this is a storm that's going to move over an area that's been very dry for most of September and most of October thus far. So that really helps us out. That stream flows are low. The soil can take some of the moisture in through here. But what we're looking at, again, is an area where we're going to watch this move across, potentially produce some flash flooding. Valdosta, you're in this. Tallahassee, you're in this. Just south of Macon here. Again, if you're driving I-75, a horrible drive later on this afternoon and tonight as wind and rain just pound you, and then up through the Carolinas along the I-85, I-20, and 95 corridors. Guys, much more to come on Michael. Potentially, again, our first Cat 4 in the history of the Florida Panhandle.